Hey, this is Mr. Simmons, and this is a video for people that are switching to saxophone. So the first thing you're going to notice is the saxophone is a lot heavier. Hopefully you knew that before you made the decision to switch. In the band room and at home, we don't want you to try to open the case on your lap. It is an expensive instrument and it could fall over. In the band room, the safest place is on the floor that's not the walking path. I happen to be at home and I have a sofa, so I have good safe space next to me. I want to start talking just about the neck strap. We'll get to the instrument later. So neck straps are adjustable for height, and you have to be able to make those adjustments. So before you put the instrument on it, learn how your neck strap works. Different neck straps work different ways. They usually have some type of thing that pulls up or down, but if you just pull it like this, it won't work. You have to have a little resistance on the end. Figure out how your neck strap works before you put the instrument on it. Personally, I like to wear a collared shirt when I play the saxophone, and I like to put the strap underneath the collar. You certainly don't have to do that. There are some straps, some companies, I don't have one with me, make straps that have extra padding here. There's also, you can go to Walmart in the automotive section, and they have these things that are meant to be seatbelt covers to protect your neck from the seatbelt, and you can buy that and put over it. It just velcros over it. Some students love that, and some students say, oh, that makes it too hot, I don't like that. If you do, whatever type of neck strap you have, if you do start to get bad headaches as a result of the weight on your neck, ask your music teacher about switching to a harness. They do make harnesses, they cost more money, but it's a similar strap, but it goes around your shoulders, and it puts the weight on your shoulders instead of your neck. Okay, so you know how to adjust the strap. Great, great, great. Next, look at the hook. This hook has a clip on it, just holding it so you can see, and that clip will help hold it in place. Other hooks are just like a J hook, look like the letter J, and gravity holds it in. So you want to make sure that you know what type of hook it is. Whether it's a J hook or one of these hooks, you never 100% assume the hook is going to hold it. You don't just hook to the instrument and walk around with it flopping around, because it could fall off and break. Alrighty, once you get used to everything, we would start the putting together routine by putting the reed in your mouth. That way the reed could get wet while you are putting it together. Being our first time, and the fact that I'm talking while I'm doing this, we are not going to have my reed in my mouth. There should be some type of an end cap on the saxophone that prevents this one piece of metal that sticks up from getting bent. And that's the octave key lever. If you're coming from clarinet, you're familiar with the bridge key that you have to be careful not to bend. It's just a similar concept. If this piece of metal gets bent, it will make the instrument not work. So it's very important that every time you put your instrument away, that you take it apart, you put this cap back in, because that's what protects that piece of metal. Occasionally you'll see a company that will have something like this cap. It'll have a long, feathery looking thing, and they're like, it's great for cleaning the inside of the instrument. So true, it is great for cleaning the inside of the instrument, but if you have that, you don't want to leave it in, because if you put that in after you played, it would trap the moisture inside, which would mess up your pads. So even if you have something like that, you would put it in, take it out, and not leave it on the inside while the instrument was stored. There are, on most instruments, one screw. On this instrument, there happens to be two screws, because there's a lyre holder for what you might use in like a marching band to hold the little tiny flip folder music. So if you need to loosen or tighten this just to get the plastic out, you can. Don't lose that screw. So most altos will have one hook, one little circle, one hole for the neck strap to connect to. I have seen a couple of altos that have two, and definitely when you get down to the larger saxophones, the tenor and bari, I've seen baris that have 3 or 4, and you just hook it in a different place to get the right angle for it to be comfortable for you to play. Because some of you playing saxophone might be 4'3", and some of you might be 6'2", and everything in between. So in some way you hook it. You're going to need to adjust your strap as you figure out where it goes. Some people, once they get it adjusted, can leave it there. Personally, when I get my strap adjusted, so it's the right height, I can't take it off. So I have to loosen mine to take it off and then retighten it when I put it back on. The neck goes here. Remember, you may need to loosen this a little bit to get it in. This does not normally need to be lubricated. I have not put anything on mine in years. Some people feel like if it gets stiff, you should put a little tuning slide grease on it. Just borrow some from a trumpet player. I guess if you really need your own, you can, but that wouldn't be cork grease. Cork grease is meant for cork, and this is metal on metal. And just tighten it a little bit so that this doesn't flop around. You are strong enough to twist this until you break the screw. So just tighten a little so this doesn't move around. With the mouthpiece, normally we would put the mouthpiece on earlier and we would have our reed in our mouth, but no matter whether your reed is in your mouth or not, the reed is the very last thing to go on. This is your main tuning space, how far you push on, and this cork definitely needs to have some cork grease on it so it slides on smoothly. Most of you playing saxophone have a background in clarinet, so you should already know too little cork grease, you will rip the cork. Too much cork grease, and the cork grease will seep through the cork and like loosen and undo the glue underneath, and the cork will fall off. So too much is bad and too little is bad. Do not put cork grease on every single time. That would be too much. So we do want to gently twist and push this on, and when we get to tuning the instrument, that'll affect how far on it has to go. Occasionally with a brand new saxophone, the people at the shop did not adjust the cork and it's really too thick. Do not on your own try to get sandpaper and sand it down. Although that's what somebody else is going to do. If you mess up the shiny metal, it will no longer look pretty. If you sand it down the wrong way, you'll have an air leak. It won't be even. You won't be able to be in tune. There's a lot of potential issues. So we do not want young musicians just learning the instrument to mess with adjusting their instrument. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail with putting the reed on. The reed should be moist when you put it on. Most of you are already coming from the clarinet, but you do want the mouthpiece on the neck before the reed goes on. You don't want to try to twist and push that mouthpiece on while the reed's attached. Most people that play clarinet and saxophone find that when you play the saxophone, you want the reed set just a hair lower than even. On clarinet, we talk about the tip of the reed being the exact same height as the tip of the mouthpiece, so that when you look at it from one way or the other, you don't see the opposite. And it's just a little bit of trial and error, but most people on saxophone like it to be just a hair lower, just a tiny bit lower than the mouthpiece. All right, so we're finally essentially put together. We're not really ready to play. I haven't moistened the reed or anything. But we next need to talk about tacos. Yes, Taco Bell, Three Amigos, Happy Taco, El Quiente. If you've ever had a taco and you take the taco and you hold it straight up and down and you turn your head like this to eat, then well, nothing falls out, everyone laughs at you. And if you've ever taken a taco and just turned it completely sideways like a hamburger and tried to put it straight in, you know that all the stuff falls out. This is not a taco, this is a mouthpiece, and you can twist it. You want your head to be straight when you're playing. So if you're like, your mouthpiece is sideways and you're doing this to play, that's like a taco. You're going in to take a bite of your taco. Just twist it until it's flat. Now, speaking of being flat, that depends a lot if you're playing in the center or playing on the side. Playing in the center is great for full-grown adults. It gets a little complicated with how your instrument is made and with what size you are. This particular instrument, the angle of the thumb rest is not made to be in the center. This particular instrument is designed to be played side saddle, off to the right-hand side. I don't know exactly how your instrument is made, but I do know that none of the middle schoolers that I'm teaching are full-grown adults yet. So I want all of you to start playing off to the side, and as you get to high school age, you get full-grown, you may switch to the center, depending on your embouchure, depending on the style of music you're playing, depending on how your instrument is made and the angle of your thumb rest. So we're off to the side, it's just resting here. It's not back at the hip. It's not out at the knee. It's basically where it's hanging naturally. The whole goal here is your hands are just pressing buttons. Your hands are not carrying weight. Yes, you can watch a university player who's playing it with no strap at all. University equals full grown. We don't want your hands or wrist to carry weight. If you feel like you're physically pushing it forward, That's not where we want it. It's kind of where it naturally hangs. So now that we're naturally hanging, we need to talk about the height of the strap. Remember earlier we practiced adjusting it. So if you go and you're sitting up tall is very important, and it goes like this, you need to adjust the strap. Do not lean down into your instrument. When you lean down into it, it changes the angle of all of the muscles. It changes the angle that the mouthpiece goes into the mouth. It changes your neck. It pinches your air supply. If you're curving your back to try to get to it, it's changing your diaphragm and messing with your air support. So you are sitting up tall, and we want this to naturally go in where the top of the mouthpiece is the same height as the top teeth. I'm going to go too far the other way. Well, now it's up at my nose. Don't try to reach up to it this way. Looking straight forward, sitting up tall, we want it to go directly into your mouth so the top of the mouthpiece hits the top teeth. I'm almost perfect there. It's going straight in, it's flat. I am ready to play. So y'all, that is how you get the instrument put together. That's how you adjust the strap. That's some tips about being careful with this octave key lever because it has to connect, and if that metal gets bent, then this key doesn't work correctly. So I hope this helps. Just a real quick getting started guide.